With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoweh's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful inns for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more. Welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. I'm Michael Thompson, hanging out with S.J. Jennings, and this is the holidays. This is Christmas. I hope your Christmas was good.
Annual Bacchanalia, right? Which is the holidays. Yes.
Where did you get that?
It's a Christmas story. It's a word he uses to describe.
Bacchanalia.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to look up the definition for you?
Yeah. Do that while I
I
wax a little bit here.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
yeah, I hope you had a great Christmas, everyone, and want to turn, as this time of year we do, putting the ornaments back in I mentioned it before Christmas, the green and red tubs that Robin and I have, putting things away. How long do you leave your stuff up? Do you stay up through New Year's?
We're a 12 days of Christmas family. So it's 12 days after Christmas. So that would be January, whatever it is. I can't math at the moment. I guess 6th. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously a tradition burned in your mind.
Right.
January. What's 12 days? Yes.
So
But
we're not like, militant about it or anything. Like it's
Yeah.
January 6th, everything has to come down. But just whenever we kind of feel it after the first of the year,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question. Do you have white lights on your Christmas tree or all the multicolor lights on your Christmas tree?
We're white lights. And actually, I don't know what happened. A few years ago, a couple strands went out, so Hannah and I had to do an emergency run, which is not a good idea on the 21st, 2nd, 3rd.
No.
Everywhere's picked over.
Yeah, they're hen's teeth
And
at
so
that point.
we ended up with these soft white lights, which is different than bright. They look like little candle bulbs rather than the long pointy ones.
How do you and your OCD deal with different kinds of lights?
No, I didn't. So we had to get, so now we're not a white light. It's kind of a yellow light, but it's all the same.
It's cool white or warm white?
Warm something,
Warm white?
something
Yeah.
like that. To this conversation's point, I mean, I don't know where we got them. It wasn't Home Goods. We went to a few places and there weren't any lights. Walmart, Home Depot, all that. They were just color ones left, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
from when I was a kid, that's the ones you had. Was
the
the
big
color
ones.
blink and they blinked and all that. So
Bigger than
anyway,
your thumb.
Yeah. Long story short, we ended up with a new shade of off-white lights, and it works. Yeah.
We like the little mini ones, the smaller ones, but they're multicolor and no LED. They can't be LED. That's just a weird. Sherry doesn't like the light that the LED lights generates. So
that's a lot of them, though.
Oh yeah, I mean
that's the popular. Yeah,
yeah, they're all going LED. I like the ones that suck up all those fossil fuels, man. Burn it while you got it.
So yeah. So the
I'm
wild, I think about the Christmas candles, back in Downton Abbey. I mean, they're putting candles on
a dead tree.
On a dead tree.
Yeah, and you
There's
wonder
no
why
way.
so many houses burn to the ground.
No,
right?
that's just crazy.
It's not a great idea.
But it is fascinating how these lights got wound up, put away, and brought out. You got one job for about 30 days, lights. Come on. What in the world?
What happened in that when they were in that? But why
now
is
you
half
don't
of
work?
them are out now? I put you away. You worked.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Crazy. So
yeah, I brought it up because we like the multicolor, and we actually take all the decorations off the tree except for the lights themselves. So we went to an artificial tree last year.
No.
We did. We crossed over because there was a Christmas tree shortage. I don't know if you knew
That's
that,
right.
but we always
last
wait
year.
until like right before Christmas to get our tree.
That's right.
Because we leave it up into January.
Versus Thanksgiving or right in that.
Right.
That
And we
December
couldn't get a
1st.
tree. So we
man.
got this pretty sweet artificial one, and we just put some spruce oil in the diffuser, and then it smells like the trees in the house. So
That is tricky.
yeah,
Yeah. So you leave the lights on and
we leave the lights on.
shove
Yeah.
it up in some attic.
No, we leave it in the room was my point. not necessarily in the living room, but our office upstairs. We just bring it up there and enjoy the lights all year round.
Do you?
Yeah, and they do their job.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. What were we talking about?
I don't know. We're talking about New Year's.
We're talking about putting things away.
Yeah,
that's right.
that's
Putting
right.
things away, deconstructing Christmas and changing gears, right? So in this podcast, that's what we want to talk about a little bit is the changing gears into New Year. I mentioned, I think, in the Christmas podcast that, there's kind of a dead week. It's an interesting week between Christmas and New Year's. Do you do anything? Is there any tradition in that space, or is it just chill?
Yeah, Steven usually comes home. He lives up in Philly with his girlfriend Autumn, and we just kind of hang out and spend time together, Might drive and do the Christmas light thing at night or, but yeah, it's mostly finishing up Christmas cookies and
food,
those kind of
leftovers, all that.
Man. Oh,
yeah. When I was little, man,
playing with your new toys.
It was all about that. It was just kind of making the rounds with friends.
What'd you get? What'd you get?
Yeah. What'd you get? And whether it was board games or footballs,
Do you remember the motorcycle with Evel Knievel on it? And you pull the plastic thing out and then it would take off. I just saw an ad for that the other day. They're bringing them back. Like you can get those again now.
The Knievel family thanks you.
Yeah, for that plug on the Explore More podcast. But I just remembered you're out in the street. There's other kids around. You're playing with stuff like that.
Vintage stuff. Our toys are
our
now
stuff is vintage.
And if they want to bring that back for the next generation, I say good.
Yeah,
there's
100%.
There's some great games and toys back then.
Yeah,
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh man, yeah, 100%.
The slot hockey. Where you could move it up and down. All that stuff has a new generation that needs to discover how fun that crap is.
That was the ritual, though. To your point, is this week after Christmas. Getting together with your friends and this is what I got. This is what I got. I got socks,
sweaters, your clothes. Yeah. So in this transition, that we're in, I think it's a great time because it is a slower time.
Yeah.
It feels like to me. It has been for years.
Not for everybody, but hopefully.
You're not quite going back to work. You might be able to get a few things, ready and done. But
answering some emails.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Recording a podcast.
And depending on where you live, you're shoveling out or, here in North Carolina, we could have snow. Or,
that was something we didn't talk about last week.
In the 70s,
Yeah, like it is today. That was something we didn't talk about with this season. In the slower week, maybe put it down into second or third gear a little bit, slow things down. As a kid, I grew up in New England. Oftentimes the weather really helped with that. Like if we got a foot of snow, we're just...
You're inside.
Yeah.
Or you're going to go play
playing
for an hour and then you're come in
frozen.
And thaw.
Yeah.
Come in to thaw.
Soaking wet.
It is a great football time if you're a football guy.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of good things going on with college football, playoffs, lots to watch.
Yeah.
So what we want to talk a little bit about is how to take advantage maybe of that week as you prepare for the new year. I think resolutions get a bad rap. I've actually given them a bad rap at times,
Yeah.
But I'd love to talk about resolutions and rituals and new routines. Maybe that's our podcast name, right?
Yeah, sure.
Resolutions, rituals, and new routines. God has made things seasonal. Again, depending on where you live, if you're in Florida, it's not as much, or California, not as much, but there still is seasonal. There's seasons to life. And we look at the calendar, we're in the midst of winter, which things hibernate, things die. Our backwoods, man, is several acres, and it's amazing how far you can see in the winter.
All the foliage is down.
And in a few months, you can't see more than 10 yards because outside of the paths that we have, it's a forest, and it's hardwoods and the smaller plants and foliage, like you said, when they bloom, but it's seasonal. I think winter, the winter of the soul, the winter season is a really interesting time for reflection. Yes, I think different than Christmas. We look back at the year. Where did it go?
Right.
What happened? I think, Scott, the great invitation during this week for me, for us as a team, is solitude.
Yeah, taking the time to do that. Absolutely.
And to explore, and maybe by the end of this podcast, I'd like to give our listeners a few of the kind of questions that might help bring their heart and mind into this framework of a new year,
Mm-hmm. Which we'll get into. Let's take a break.
Okay, yeah, we'll be right back with New Year's and resolutions, rituals, and routines on the Exploring More podcast. We'll see you in a minute. Hey, friends and allies of Exploring More podcast. We wanted to bring some attention to some of our free downloadable resources on our Zoweh website. First, there's a 14-day devotional on being fathered by God. This is the same devotional that you can get a PDF download on our website. You also can find on the YouVersion Bible app. Also, the 14-day devotional on the Heart of a Warrior, another great resource to walk through with men or in your own time alone with God. The last free download that we want to draw attention to is the Biblical Theology of the Heart. Is the redeemed heart good? Is this piece of equipment that is so vital to living in the kingdom, is it good or is it not? Download the Biblical Theology of the Heart to find out more. You can find these 3 resources and many other free downloads and free audio files on our website at www.zoweh.org. Welcome back, friends and allies, to the New Year's edition of the Exploring More podcast. We got New Year's a few days away and talking about resolutions and rituals, routines, how to set into that, how to move into spaces of solitude, reflection, so that, you can move in another direction. You can have conversations, that's good, but there's something about solitude, writing things down, how you think, how you feel at this time, reflecting. We're pretty big on journaling, so I typically do a fair job of having a journal for the year. Like, it's just the way the journal's actually laid out. It's a page a day, and I can see there's days I have blank pages, there's days that I have to-do lists there, but a lot of times in my ritual, it's conversations with God. It's a chance to share on a page where my heart is. Yep, I can ask him for things. I can declare things, share things. But my point is still, for the solitude, that seems to be a key, if not critical, ingredient to reflection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for me, I want to talk about the environment just a little bit, because I think it's important to encourage our listeners. Like, do you have a favorite chair? You talked about the essential oils, and turning on one of those diffusers. Those are great things for solitude.
Oh, yeah.
Lighting a candle.
Mm-hmm.
In the winter, because of the longer nights, more darkness, I'm a lamp guy. I love lamps.
You love lamps.
I'm a lamp guy. I love lamps. The days are shorter.
Right. You need light.
In the morning, I have a couple lamps that it just is a different kind of light. And I feel like it's actually helpful to the solitude. It brings a certain feel.
An atmosphere.
Thank you for that. Light a candle, or if your wife, like SJ's and mine, have the oils and diffusers. But my point about the solitude is you're actually entering into the senses. You're bringing your senses. There's a smell, there's sight, there's an environment that you're creating that is good for you.
One of the things you talked about, resolutions. So I looked up the definition of resolute, which is marked by firm determination, bold, steady, like a resolute gaze, right?
Yeah.
So, but in order to be resolute and carry out these resolutions, like if you want to say, hey, I'm going to journal this year, I'm going to make that resolution, I think you've got to hold it loosely but firmly all at the same time, right? Because life can be challenging. But to your point, creating the atmosphere, creating the opportunity to enter into a practice like that, there's just cues that help you to maintain that resolution. So what I mean by that is, consistent time of the day, right? It's 6:30 in the morning or whatever it is.
That's that routine part. What's the routine?
Right. Yeah. And that routine, being in that same atmosphere, the smells, the sounds, if you have music playing, if you have a certain lamp you put on, I mean, just creating that routine, what you're doing is you're creating a habit for your mind, for your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you start to crave it
Yeah.
and miss it when you don't have it.
That's right. So I would say, as I look at my mornings, there's that routine. And when you're somewhere else, it gets disrupted. And you might be able to bring forward or to that place your journal, your Bible, your headphones.
I was just going to say noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah, whatever you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something about the routine of it. I like that you're going there, as well as what are you trying to accomplish? What is it that the steady work, the steady movement of your will, this habit, what are you trying to produce? What are you hopeful for? And I love that question all the time. Desire, hope. What do you want? And it comes to the surface. It seems to come to the surface a heavier, weightier, significant time at the end of year for New Year's.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that, Michael, that can be a great encouragement. If this is one of the things that you want to enter into in the new year, listeners, day one, that's a journal entry. What am I hopeful for
in this journey? That is this time. Yeah, that's the first things. What are you hopeful for? What do you want?
It's like we start our weekends, those of you that have been to the weekends, that's one of the first things we ask. What do you want?
What do you want?
Yeah.
Right. My dad takes me back to a thing my dad used to say when we would play. He was a basketball player in high school and college. I was, and we did a lot of basketball. And so when we would do one-on-one, those years that I'm getting close to beating him or, got to surpass the old man. I think I was 8 when I started beating him. No, I'm kidding, but more like 18. But when he would hit a shot, he'd say 1 in a row.
Yeah, man.
It stuck with me
dad
forever.
Thing, man.
And I say it,
Yeah.
If I'm playing with, my guys, my buddies, and still get to play on a regular basis, and I've missed a few shots and hit one, it's 1 in a row. But the simplicity of the dad part of that, it's how streaks begin.
Mm-hmm.
Hitting streaks, shooting streaks. And what about these disciplines? And I think that's where I love what you said. Read it again, Ritual. Do you still have it?
Resolute.
Resolution. Yeah, resolution.
Yeah. Firm or determined, unwavering, marked by firm determination, bold, steady.
Yeah. I was talking to our friend Mark Johnson about this. What that just beautifully encapsulates is this idea of your will, exercising your will. Greg is entering into a new season in this new year and really going after some of the weight and health, which is a good thing,
Yeah, sure.
And yet, if you put your mind to it, that's a term we use all the time, you engage your will. Another friend, Tom Benner, says it's amazing what gets done when you put your hands to it, when you enter into it. Give your attention to it. What we give our attention to has a far better chance of getting accomplished or done or entered into. So this idea of solitude, okay, that's an act of your will, creating the environment for pondering,
the ability
for
to do it,
thinking, for slowing down. One of the exercises that we love is this solitude and asking God questions, entering into a time and space of quiet, quieting your heart, quieting your mind. And hey, by the way, good luck with that.
Yeah, there's a lot coming against it.
It's amazing how much distraction, but you don't realize how much distraction you might live with until you try to stay focused.
That's right.
And give your will and conscious effort to that. So the struggle with it is actually the good thing. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to feel. That's what you want to enter into when it comes to, so what do I want? What do I want in the new year? What's happened this past year? Regrets, missed opportunities. I mean, reflection is really, really important. And I can get pulled, SJ, into that. What do I got to do today? What didn't I do yesterday? My to-do list is kind of in a 48-hour window, maybe 72. It's yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I kind of can live in the short-sightedness of those 3 days. And chores are kind of like that. They just are.
Yeah, they are.
What do
But
I need to do?
we so often live in this place of moving on to the next thing,
But where do I want to be?
and
Yeah,
that doesn't leave room for reflection.
right.
You're just moving forward. You're not looking back.
Yeah,
I think it's a natural thing to do, or at least to long for at the end of a year, beginning of a year, to think about the year that just has transpired and the one that's in front of you. So I think what we're encouraging is creating the opportunity to do that,
yeah,
and being intentional about it and being resolute about it.
yeah. I like that question you brought up earlier. Even asking God, what do I want?
Yeah.
There's a quote about maybe Shakespeare, I think, but going to my bosom or going to the door of my heart and knocking, going internal. That's reflection, going inside. And what is it I long for? What do I hope for? What do I want? Those are great questions. God, what is that I need? And to enter into that in more of a dialogue with God and you, I think is a great step in a great direction of conversation with God and paying attention when you ask that question, what do I want? And then it's kind of how far do you want to mine into that? Because the next 5 questions can be why? Why? Why do I want to lose weight? Well, I want to be around longer. Well, why do you want to be around longer? Because I love my family. So, okay, now it's about them. That's a good thing. Well, what do you want to do with your family? And you can just tumble in a beautiful direction as you ponder what is it that you want and why. We're on a journey too. We're learning. If you need someone to engage in your story, if you need someone to explore with you some more, hit us with an email.
Yeah, exploringmore@zoweh.org.
Exploringmore@zoweh.org. So conferences coming in the spring, books, the Women's Deepening Journey video series, lots of cool stuff that we're trying to offer and share. Always, SJ, I love when I see some of the receipts that say 0. People come to the Outpost online and find audio and video and
just free resources
encouragement,
we put up there.
Free resources for their heart, and take those with them, man. I love that. And hopefully that will continue to encourage people on this journey of love and life and freedom that we're on, and that exploring more together would be good for all of us. So
until next time.
Yeah, until next time on the Exploring More podcast, what are you hopeful for and why? We'll see you in 2022. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoweh.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the Life of More by visiting Zoweh on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoweh on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.